Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are jumping into another Townie makeover. It has been quite a while since I've done a cast video. If you guys have been keeping up with my channel, then you'd know that I've been having a lot of fun with my Not So Berry and 7 Deadly Sins series, and I really just haven't had much inspiration to do makeover videos lately. I just don't really have a lot of time or energy to pump out, a bunch of videos. As much as I would love to be able to do that, I just really don't have the energy, especially lately since I've been extremely stressed out and it's just been kind of draining, which is also why, of course, I didn't have a video for you guys last week, which I feel really bad about. But again, I've just been really stressed, so I'm trying to just get out videos when I can and not forcing myself to put out lackluster content for you guys. It is almost the end of October, and so of course I wanted to put out at least one video that was sort of spooky themed, not really. So I ended up deciding on doing a makeover for the famous Vatore siblings, the vampires from Forgotten Hollow, and big fan favorites in the Sims community. I've actually wanted to do makeovers for them for a while, but I was honestly kind of scared. Just because I know how beloved these characters are, especially Caleb, and I was just really worried about messing them up. I was worried that people wouldn't like them or wouldn't like my take on them. This is my very first time doing a makeover for the Vatore siblings. I haven't even done it just in my personal time or anything. So this is my first crack at it, and I hope that I've done a good job. I hope that you guys enjoy it. So of course I've talked through a bunch of Caleb's makeover here, but basically I wanted to kind of show personality of the two siblings through how they dress and how they carry themselves. I've never played with the Vatore siblings. I really just don't like how the vampires function in The Sims that much, so I never bother playing with them. So because of that, I have no preconceptions about their personalities or just how they would act in my series or anything like that. I'm coming into this with a completely blank slate, so I really have no opinion of the siblings or like how they would act outside of just their given traits. And with Caleb, he is given the ambitious trait, the foodie trait, and the materialistic trait. And his aspiration is good vampire, which when reading into the description of it, basically is just that he wants to control his thirst and remain as human as possible. He wants to not hurt anybody and just live as a human, basically. And I actually thought that was really interesting, considering that the entire aesthetic and look that EA has given Caleb is very vampire and very much I embrace being a vampire type of aesthetic. So I was actually really surprised to find out that his aspiration is to remain more human. And so I actually leaned into that thought that maybe he doesn't want to be a vampire, and maybe him turning into one was not a choice that he made, at least not willingly. And so I really wanted to lean into this idea that he tries very hard to hide that he's a vampire, that he wants to dress just like a normal human, he wants to get along with people, but of course vampires can't be in sunlight, and therefore he has to hide himself. He has to hide his skin, hide his body, so that he would be a little bit more protected from the sun. Again, I haven't really played with vampires in The Sims, so I don't fully know how the mechanics work in terms of letting your vampire Sims go out into the sunlight. However, I have on multiple occasions seen Lilith and Caleb just out and about, and they don't seem harmed by the sun. So in my thoughts, they can be in sunlight, but just for a very limited amount of time before they start to burn. So in order to protect his skin and also to stay out in the sunlight longer, Caleb wears a lot of layers. He wears a turtleneck, he wears a big jacket, he wears full pants and shoes that come up above his ankles so that his entire body besides his face is completely covered, and he's able to be in the sunlight a lot longer than he normally would otherwise. And so because of this, I've kind of given Caleb a little bit more of the reserved personality, especially compared to his sister, where a lot of people will see him and think he's more shy, think he's more reserved and antisocial, that he keeps to himself, even though that's not really his personality. That is just kind of the impression that people get when they look at him. But most of all, he really just doesn't want to hurt people and tries to keep a friendly distance in order to protect them. I will admit though that I think a lot of people would disagree with my version of Caleb and might be a little frustrated that I kind of took away his whole vampire aesthetic. You may be looking at him thinking, Hannah, why did you do this? Why would you take away the one thing that makes him like hot? He's a vampire. He let him embrace being a vampire. And y'all are so valid in thinking that, but just personally, I really liked that version of Caleb that is a little bit more on the reserved side of being a vampire and really doesn't want to embrace it. So then also when doing his dark, evil vampire self, it's still a little bit reserved. The only difference in his outfit is that his jacket is removed, and he's just wearing the turtleneck that he wears on underneath it. it. The only difference to his dark self is that I've given him red eyes and also some of the, dark vampire markings around his eyes. I've also tried to make him look a little bit more sunken in with the slightly darker skin tone and also the bags under the eyes being more prominent. I imagine that this is a side of himself that he really tries to keep hidden and that he really wants to keep under lock and key. I know that it's cliche, of course, but personally, that's just the kind of vampire story that I really like. I really just enjoy the vampire that doesn't want to be a monster and doesn't want to hurt anybody type of character. But I've talked enough about Caleb, let's move on to Lilith. Now, my thought process with Lilith was almost the complete opposite. When looking at her traits, she has the outgoing, creative, and active traits, and her aspiration is to have a vampire family. So in some ways she's similar to Caleb in the sense that she's not a bad or evil vampire, and she doesn't go out of her way to be evil, but I do see her as being a little bit more open about her entire aesthetic, her being bold and not caring what people think about her. I actually don't really mind the aesthetic that EA has given Lilith in her original form. I just think she needed a bit of work. So really I didn't change a lot about her in terms of her personality or the way that she dresses. I just sort of leaned in more into that sort of punk vibe that she had. Something that I noticed in her original design is that they gave her bird tattoos on her shoulder, but when she turns into her dark form, her tattoo actually changes into a pair of big wings on her back. And I actually thought that was super cool, but of course her long hair ended up kind of blocking it, so you didn't really get to see it. So my solution was to just cover her in tattoos. Give her just tons of tattoos all down her arms, her legs, her stomach, her back, and I thought that that would really just bring attention to how cool she looks and how cool that she likes to look. Unlike her brother, she doesn't cover herself up. She wears a sleeveless crop top, showing off all of her tattoos on her arms and her chest, and she wears ripped up jeans with some boots. And honestly, I had so much fun dressing her up. I actually gave her 2 separate outfits that I just really loved. I also really liked the long hair with the fringe that they gave her, so I decided to keep that as well. I think Lilith was a really good sim. She just, again, needed a little bit of work. Something I've noticed when actually playing the game is that you notice Lilith is more active at night. I don't know if this is actually accurate or if it's just my own experience playing the game, but she seems to hang out a lot more in the night festivals or in indoor spaces like the lounges. So with my thought process is that she doesn't have to cover herself and she doesn't have to wear a bunch of layers like her brother because she doesn't really care about being out in the sunlight at all. She does go out every now and then if need be, but she is more of the night owl and prefers to go out and spend time with people and party and whatnot at nighttime when she doesn't have to care about her looks and she doesn't have to care about the sunlight. Not that I think Lilith is some kind of party animal, but like I said, she always ends up at the festivals and in the nightclubs and at lounges and whatnot. And she does have the outgoing trait as well, so I think she just prefers more of the night scene anyway, which could also contribute to the perception that other people have of her where, oh, you only ever see her at nighttime, she must be a vampire, things like that. Of course, most people when they look at her are not serious, but I think Lilith kind of just laughs a little bit to herself when she overhears those kind of jokes. Overall, I really like how both of these siblings turned out. Lilith was, like I said, a lot of fun to dress up. I did struggle more with Caleb, honestly, in terms of dressing him, but overall I really liked how he turned out, and I really liked the bit of character that I decided to give both of them. I don't know if I'll actually play with them or not, but I did enjoy giving them their makeover at the very least, so I hope that you guys enjoyed them as well. If you guys are interested, I will put them up on the gallery. Of course, as always, you would have to click on Include CC in order to see them, and if you don't have the same CC that I do, unfortunately it won't show up in your game. I do plan on eventually doing a CC video, but I have so much custom content, so I'm not really sure how to go about making a video or putting out a link where you can download it all. Honestly, my mods folder is the largest folder on my entire computer. It is currently at 70 gigabytes. So if somebody knows an easy way that I can put out a link for you guys to download all of that CC, then please let me know in the comments below. And also let me know what you guys think of the makeovers as well. Again, I really enjoyed making them, and I hope that you guys like my take on them as well. Next week, we will be picking up again either with the next Not So Berry or the next 7 Deadly Sins. Let me know which one you guys are more interested in seeing either in the comments below or over on Twitter as well at inosimsyt. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye!